Do our youth even stand a chance? Stay tuned and find out now. Please follow our interactive conversation on Twitter by following @SolutionsTV and the hashtag at the top of the screen. Get your pen, get your paper, get your tablet, call a friend or colleague to join you. The journey to economic dignity and solutions begins right now. We'll be right back. Welcome to Solutions, the definitive source for vetted economic dignity, knowledge, and access. Our collaborative journey towards our definitive purpose begins right now. I want to encourage you today and speak prophetically into your life that this painful and necessary shift and intentional change in our lives, families, communities, government, businesses, and churches will be counted toward our manifest destiny. Let's embrace it, learn it, live it, and give it. Be open-minded, complete your due diligence, take action, get results. Today's conversation is economic dignity, youth entrepreneurship. Economics is the branch of knowledge concerned with the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. Dignity is a term that's used in ethical, spiritual, and political discussions to signify that a being has an innate right to respect and ethical treatment. It is an extension of the age of Enlightenment-era, where they talked about inherent, inalienable rights. As believers, we believe that we are created in the divine image and likeness of God. It is this divinity that gives us the ability to obtain confidence, knowledge, and wealth. Our people and communities are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge or best practices and solutions. You can follow this conversation and interact with us via Twitter, Facebook, eFactor, and LinkedIn. Share your thoughts by following @SolutionsTV or using the hashtag economic dignity. It's on the screen. Joining me today from downtown Atlanta's 200 office, a premier business lounge and accelerator for startups at 200 Peachtree, is Mr. Kelly Robinson. Kelly is a commissioner in Douglas County, Georgia. He's also the chief executive officer of ArchieMae. He's a professor of entrepreneurship at the Georgia State University. His expertise is in mortgage securitization, government finance, capital raising, entrepreneurship, and economic development. Here's some highlights. Kelly served as SVP of strategic pricing of a $4 billion portfolio at a major bank. He's consulted in 5 different countries and created a solution to a national crisis. Also joining us is Mr. Sam Kirk, who's the chief executive officer of Youth About Business. His expertise is in youth leadership and entrepreneurial education. Sam has 17 plus years of business experience with the Southwestern Company. He left corporate America to establish Youth About Business. 12 corporations hired Youth About Business students last year. Also joining us is Erik Vance. He's the founder of a phenomenal youth movement, college movement called Pray or Die. Look at that, pray or die. His expertise is youth entrepreneurship and college ministry. Some highlights about Erik. He received the Humanity Award from the 100 Black Men and Women of Atlanta. And also, very interesting, his product placement for his Pray or Die brand was placed in Tyler Perry's Medea's Big Happy Family. Gentlemen, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. It's good to have you here today. And we're talking about something that's very, very near and dear to my heart as a father of 5 children. And I'm very, very interested in this respective conversation today. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me. I want to begin the conversation with a question to you, Sam. When you look at the current wealth disparity in America and really around the world, how is Youth About Business equipping the next generation of leaders to decrease the wealth gap?
You know, one of the things we do, Bishop, is we are actually developing the next generation of leaders by equipping them with business knowledge. We're empowering them with business knowledge. And by doing that, we can help them understand the world that they're going to inherit,
Sure.
how to prepare properly for it. So our young people actually do a lot of business deals while they're yet young, when they should be making their mistakes. And by putting a team of advisors around them, we can counsel them, coach them, cultivate the right kind of skills in them so that they can have the skill set. Intergenerational wealth is an important aspect. And so for many in our community that have never acquired wealth, we must learn from others, how do you actually take wealth, transfer it to that next community. And so by us giving access to lots of people that have wealth, and by letting our young people learn from that environment, we're equipping them with that skill set.
Very, very good answer. Kelly, you're a father of young men, young boys. How are you fostering business acumen and entrepreneurship in the home?
That's interesting. I don't have many sons as you do, but I've got two boys, and they're teenagers, you know, relatively speaking. And what I've done in them is that I don't get them an allowance. What I've created in them is to create opportunity. In other words, if you want money, you go create it. So they're out there, they have their business models that they've created. They go out and they sell newspapers. They actually, I mean, you know, different types of things that are in the paper. And so my youngest, who's only 11 years old, I mean, he comes home with, you know, cash in his hand that he done sold little footballs that we used to kick across the table and stuff. Wow. And he sells them one at, you know, $1 at a time, and he goes and takes candy and he converts them. You know, I'm not charging a quarter, Dad. I'm going to charge them $5 for $1. So I'm creating this atmosphere in their minds that says, don't wait on a job. Because as was just said, jobs are not guaranteed. Like when we were coming along, they're just not the same world. So what we're trying to do is set up an atmosphere that says, okay, if there's not a job, I need to at least be able to create one based on my own skill sets and what my dad or mom has taught me.
Very, very good. Erik, your generation, in terms of embracing entrepreneurship, how is it embracing entrepreneurship differently than, let's say, generations past?
Well, with me being a southern boy at heart, a lot of towns in the South are built around the textile industry. So coming up, I saw my mother and grandmother working in the textile industry. I just knew in my heart that that couldn't be the final fate for my life. I always knew that I was born to do something great. So I, instead of being locked into the box of typically working in a textile factory, I just knew I was born to do something great, and just creating my own opportunity made more sense to me. Absolutely.
And do you believe that other youth in your generation, young adults in your generation, are looking towards entrepreneurship as well?
I'm a firm believer, because they're tired of, you know, we've seen mom and grandmom and family members struggling just trying to make ends meet with the typical 9 to 5, and we see that you can only be maxed out at that point. You know, you can only get a house, car, but this new generation know, and we also believe that there's much more in life, and it all boils down to getting out and believing in your brand, your product, or whatever your calling is, and creating your own opportunity.
Good, that's phenomenal, phenomenal. Sam, what responsibility does the church have for establishing economic development programs for youth and young adults?
I think the church has a captive audience, you know, at many times throughout the week, and throughout the, you know, it's a place where we gather. So I think it's important that the church puts programs in place to educate our young people. Because again, it's important that they learn the Bible. It's important that they understand how to be a good citizen and how to learn how to be a good Christian. But also, these are going to be our future leaders. Sure. And we have to equip them. And so there should be programs helping our young people understand economic development. There should be programs helping our young people understand job creation. One of the interesting things that our particular community has to face is we have lots of people who have maybe taken a wrong turn, and it's hard for those people to get jobs. The church should actually help some of our young people who actually maybe have gotten off track,
sure,
redesign themselves and prepare themselves to either go get a job or create a job. I think that's very important. And the church is an excellent place to do that training.
We have to have a re-entry initiative.
We must create one.
Absolutely. Erik, you know, the church is being redefined, and, you know, when we have these conversations, we talk about the disruption that's going on in the kingdom. You know, what the past, was vetted and solid is now becoming antiquated and out of date. How does your generation view the church and the church's responsibility to fostering entrepreneurship amongst its youth members and its community?
Well, I deal with young adults quite often, and the biggest problem with the church is we've heard preaching and preaching and preaching year after year after year. We've heard sermons flipped every kind of way. The thing is, this generation, the only thing we haven't experienced is the true, genuine love that the church is supposed to offer, and the genuine community, and just feeling the love and feeling the fact of a person really care about me. And I think once we come to that realization and bringing in, organic, genuine ministry, then you're able to open up more opportunities, such as teaching about HIV, or teaching or educating us about entrepreneurship and other programs that the church has to offer. But first, it has to start with genuine community.
Absolutely. We call it occupying the church. The church not being a structure or a building or edifice, but the church actually being the people. And so we've got to occupy ourselves. We've gotten away from actually building up and feeding ourselves. So if we occupy the heart, occupy our minds, and occupy the people around us, we can really make a definitive difference. And then we're not just having church, but we're being the church, because we're beings, right? That's what we are. Commissioner, how young is too young? Or what age should we start sowing the seeds of entrepreneurship?
Again, that's a good question. I teach at a local university, Georgia State University, and I teach exiting seniors, meaning they're graduating. Right? So we're talking about 17, 18. But I also speak to middle school. I speak on career days and stuff like that. And it's amazing, that 10th grader, that 9th grader, when you start talking about capital raising, when you start putting it together for them in a simple term that they can get, it comes alive. So I don't think there's no age. It just depends on the comprehension of the person you're talking to. But if you can teach a person in such a way that they get it, they can know how to convert. In other words, this is how I can go raise money. They'll go do it.
Absolutely. And to all the youth and young adults that are listening, I declare that you are a business. You yourself are a business, and you should take yourself seriously. That's some of the things that you teach in your program. So what ages are you embracing young people and taking them through? I mean, you don't have a fly-by-night curriculum. You've got something that's very solid.
Right. And what we do, we start at age 10 in our program. So young people ages 10 to 14. And understanding they may not have all the business acumen at that time, but we still test them at age 10 to see what they do know.
Okay.
And we learn that after 3 years, they start to really get it. So it takes a little time throughout that year to get them, those 3 years to get them trained. But what we do is we put them in a mentoring relationship when they're 10.
Okay.
So that also, they get a chance to see successful images of people running businesses and people that are that are successful executives. And that's an important thing. Then at age 14, they graduate to our rigorous curriculum. We actually do a merger acquisition simulation where they begin to work with accountants and bankers and attorneys, and they actually learn how to negotiate a major business deal. And,
wow.
And at the end of that, we actually take them to Wall Street to show them how the real live deals are done. And they get a chance to get access to Deutsche Bank and Bank of America and several companies that we work with. And it's an amazing thing to see.
Absolutely. You got youth occupying Wall Street,
taking
taking up their space.
And Wall Street has been, we don't want to vilify Wall Street.
Absolutely.
There are some people that have done wrong on Wall Street, but also there's a great opportunity because many of our young people have gone to Wall Street
Sure.
and are very integrous and they're successful in their careers. And I think that we should be careful that let's not vilify the entire street, but let's make sure that as we approach those types of opportunities that we don't take advantage.